I'm Marty Stouffer. North America has an amazing diversity of habitats, from dry deserts to lush prairies to cool forests. One of the most mysterious creatures in our northern forest is the marten. A golden brown body and orange throat cause the marten to look something like a miniature red fox. Its appearance brings other animals to mind also. It has the ears of a house cat, the bushy tail of a squirrel, and the lanky body of a weasel. The behavior of this animal is as unique as its appearance. So come along as we meet the marten. Once the northern half of the United States and most of Canada was covered with conifers, a global belt of deep woods called the boreal forest. What remains of most of these fragmented wilderness lands lies in Canada or in remote, rugged areas of the western U.S., shielded from civilization by mountain ranges. Yet even in the Midwest, there are a few places wild enough to harbor the most elusive of forest creatures. In a hollow, deep in the woods of Minnesota, north of Lake Superior, a female marten has given birth to her litter of 2 kittens. At birth, marten kittens weigh less than an ounce. Their eyes and ears are tightly closed. Pale yellow fuzz covers their bodies. Within weeks, a soft brown coat trimmed with a creamy white bib replaces the fuzz. By late spring, the forest is bursting with new life, including the 2 now curious marten kittens. At 7 weeks, they're ready to explore outside their den for the very first time. The American, or pine marten, once inhabited the nearly unbroken forest, which stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Now, because of clear-cutting of all but a few stands of old-growth conifers, martens live largely in wilderness islands. A juvenile red squirrel watches, safe for now. It has little to fear from the awkward young martens. Within months, the clumsy kittens will become acrobatic adults, hunters of mice and voles, foragers of fruits and berries, and occasionally, predators of red squirrels. The kitten's pursuit is nothing more than constructive play, practice for later on when they'll fend for themselves. Within 2 months, the fledgling martens will be on their own. In this one brief, carefree summer, they must hone hunting skills needed in adulthood. Only their mother serves as teacher. The male marten plays no part in rearing his offspring. Although nesting birds and their eggs are sometimes part of the diverse marten menu, the crow has little to fear from this inexperienced juvenile. Martens are the most arboreal members of the weasel family, but do most of their hunting on the ground, using the jumble of down timber as travel routes, resting sites, and communication points. Even in adolescence, they mark their territory, rubbing musk from a belly gland onto the deadfall. In a few short weeks, the female marten will go into estrus, and the urge to find a mate and breed will overpower her maternal instincts. Until then, she'll urge her offspring to learn the lessons of survival. By midsummer, the young are on their own. Solitary except for the brief breeding season, even the siblings have separated. From a vantage point high in the forest canopy, one of the juveniles spots a prospective meal on the cluttered forest floor. Decaying debris beneath the mature conifers supports a tremendous variety of wildlife. Today, it provides an escape route for an eastern chipmunk. The young marten loses its quarry out the back door and can't make up enough ground to overtake the speedy chipmunk. The marten must be as careful as it is quick. In this instance, the predatory marten could become prey for the fox. But a marten is too agile a climber for the earthbound red fox. Other natural enemies include the cougar, lynx, wolf, coyote, great horned owl, and eagle. In summer, the opportunistic marten finds a forest full of food selections, like ripening blackberries. A far easier catch than a clever chipmunk. Blueberries are another favorite food. Observers in Alaska reported seeing martens with lips stained blue from eating so many blueberries. High bush cranberries and juicy wild raspberries are other irresistible treats. Rows of holes drilled by an industrious yellow-bellied sapsucker on this alder tree ooze sweet sap. Insects and birds are drawn for a drink. Warbler, wasp, and woodpecker all feed on the gooey nectar. keen nose of the marten picks up the scent. Martens are so irresistibly drawn to sweets that they can be easily caught in delectably baited traps. One biologist in Glacier National Park live trapped the same male marten 77 times. Although the marten detests getting wet because its coat is not waterproof, it can often be found hunting near waterways where prey is plentiful. A white-footed mouse is driven out of hiding. The marten hasn't yet mastered the technique, and it allows the tiny rodent to run up a small tree and onto a branch sturdy enough to hold a mouse, but not a marten. The marten couldn't know that this is a favorite and an effective trick of the white-footed mouse. The game is over. Mouse 1, marten 0. Undaunted, the persistent young marten continues to hunt. It's late summer. The graceful marten has laid claim to its own wilderness territory. Bursting with energy, it seems to jump for joy. I can hardly imagine an animal which looks any more alert than the marten. This beautiful, bright-eyed ball of fur probably weighs between 2 and 3 pounds. It stands only 7 inches tall and measures a little over 2 feet from the end of its bushy tail to the tip of its inquisitive black nose. Nearby, a red-tailed hawk quietly watches. The hawk doesn't go unnoticed. Taking no chances, the youngster dives for cover. Few animals are as brashly curious as the marten. If this were a larger bird of prey, like a golden eagle, the reckless youngster might be in for trouble. Natural predators seem to have little impact on marten numbers. Man, with his steel traps and chainsaws, is its only serious threat. Even so, the hawk successfully bluffs the youngster back into hiding. Experts once believed that the marten dined almost exclusively on a diet of squirrel meat. This has since been disproved, but a swift red squirrel versus a lightning-fast marten is still one of nature's classic matchups. Both marten and squirrel can rotate their legs 180 degrees, a double-jointed maneuver that enables them to climb head-first down trees. Specialized muscles and flexible backbones account for their amazing agility. Autumn is just around the corner here in the North Woods. Honeybees are preparing for the frigid season ahead, building up their supplies of sweet nectar. Black bears are also constantly in search of food, storing up fat reserves that will see them through the long northern winter. And of course, the marten is always on the lookout for a sweet treat at any time of the year. The nearsighted bear has an incredibly well-developed sense of smell, which guides it to the honey. Once the coast is clear, the marten tries its luck. Even though it pays the price of a few stings to the nose, the sweet reward seems worth the effort. By October, the forest landscape has changed. The red-backed vole, the single most important source of food for the marten, has halted its prodigious reproductive cycle. During the summer, the plump rodent gives birth to an average of 6 litters of 5 to 9 young. Another prolific prey species, the cottontail, occupies the edges of marten territory, feeding at the borders of dense woods. By now, the maturing marten has learned its lessons well. A simple bite to the skull kills mice and voles, but a bite to the throat is necessary to overcome larger prey. This sort of old-growth forest appears to be the only type of habitat which contains all the ingredients necessary for marten survival. Winter in the northern forest is long and cold. Gone are the leisurely berry-picking days of summer. Survival now depends on making the most of every hunting opportunity. From its perch high in a fir tree, the marten has a bird's-eye view of prey on the forest floor. On fluffy snow, the marten has little chance of catching the perfectly adapted snowshoe hare. On hardpack, the marten might have succeeded. The marten's ability to survive extreme winters has been a mystery until recently. They lack the heavy insulating coat of most other northern fur bearers, like the fox and wolverine, and they don't rely on fat supplies for survival. In fact, their body fat levels rarely exceed 4%, about the same as a lean marathon runner. So survival depends on their ability to keep their body temperature high by regularly capturing prey. This habitat also contains a prey base just large enough to support a vigilant hunter like the marten. Even when hungry, the marten toys with the white-footed mouse, cat-like in its carefree approach to feeding. Scientists call the marten an indicator species, a barometer of a healthy forest ecosystem, sensitive to any significant change in its habitat. The marten is truly one of the most enduring symbols of the wilderness. The marten is beneficial in keeping rodent populations under control, and it further helps man gauge his effect on many other animals which live in old-growth forests. The marten needs this multi-layered habitat. To ensure its future, we must preserve these woodlands, for only within them are we going to be able to meet the marten. I'm Marty Stouffer. Until next time, enjoy our wild America.